What it do? We back
Everybody smile.
again. Yo, funny thing, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but when you go on YouTube and you pull up the Grounded Show videos, all the thumbnails are of Quincy smiling.
The
Like
$1,000,000
every single
smile.
one. And we're like trying to like figure out, like, bro, like it's so crazy. It does that every time. And in the last episode, I don't even know what part of the episode it was, but I
Guy
did
went
this
in.
crazy, like it was like a smile that you would see like in a horror movie picture. You know what I mean? Like it's the family that lived in the house while it was haunted type vibes. And then it's just like the guy in the back, like, bro, it was like a crazy smile, but then it ended up being the thumbnail. So I think it's looking for smile.
And that was Lester doing the smile.
Yeah, it was me doing the smile. So it's like, finally I'm on the cover and it's just like a psychotic looking smile. You know what I mean? Joe hasn't been on.
bro.
No, I think now that I think about it, I think you have been on the cover too, smiling also.
Yeah.
I think that's what it does. I think it looks for the smile. So if from now on, if you see us like while we're talking, just talking like this, it's because we're trying to get that cover, dog.
We're competing for it. Just so you know, that's how we randomly just let it flow. We just let it upload and let it do what it do. And then we noticed it was letting it do what it do for Quincy a lot. We're like, hey, wait a second.
And it was just so funny that it kept doing it every time that it just became a thing. Like it was just so hilarious. And then, another thing, we dropping that video tomorrow, dog.
Yes, sir.
Me and Quincy got the Down For Me video dropping tomorrow, which is January 5th. Today's the 4th when we're recording this. But the funny thing about that also is when we saw the thumbnail for that video, it was Quincy smiling again, just smiling on the mountain. Like this dude is just smiling on thumbnails all over the world.
Yo, that's crazy, man.
Quincy, is it strategic or what? Do you know this thing?
It's taking contagious smiles to a new level, bro. YouTube is not playing.
Yo, facts.
You never knew this though. You just do your thing and you just randomly get selected, like you get American Idol selected.
Yo, facts.
No idea.
Grounded Show Pod on YouTube. Go check it out. Go subscribe. And more importantly, just pull up all our videos and just look at the list. And the list is like this.
Random. And it's all randomly Quincy.
And it's just all Quincy, just Quincy.
Yo, that's so wild, man.
Look at him smiling right now. I bet you that's gonna be the
cover
for next week's show right there.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, I know I've been telling y'all about that Young Rock show for a while, man, and y'all finally tapped in. How y'all feeling about that?
Yeah, no, that show is definitely goated for sure. Like, I don't know. I feel like I knew a lot about, The Rock's career just from watching it from the start, but dog, his thing go deep. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much, as far as the wrestling goes through his family, like it's crazy. Yo, that was a huge pause. Wow.
Okay, thank you. That's what I just mouthed right now.
Yo, I thought about it like 3 sentences later. Like, yo, I really just said that and kept going. Like, no issues. That was a huge issue.
No issues.
Oh man, that's a good one. I held it in.
Yo, that's so funny because nobody will see it, but Joe was just on the side, like,
because if this is on audio, you just hear that.
Yeah, that's wow.
No, but listen, that show. One thing that I think, and I know the two of you could agree with me, is at this level, we don't keep up with wrestling as much as we did back then.
Right.
And now it's kind of like FOMO. You kind of like, if you don't know the story, it's like the start of the season or the end of the season or the start of the season, WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. The end of the season is WrestleMania, and then the Raw that's after WrestleMania is like the beginning of like a new.
So if you're thinking about it like sports seasons, WrestleMania is the end of the season. The new season starts on Raw. So, like Quincy said, I might tap into that. That's the best time to tap in. But if you haven't watched for 4 or 5 seasons, you don't know who's good, what the storylines are, and so you don't have that. But I feel like when you watch The Rock, you're reliving the years that we knew wrestling and that we knew the timelines.
Y'all want to hear? So check this out. This is my theory of wrestling, and I feel like it's literally because you know how it is. Like everything always translates to every single genre, every industry. It's like it's all the same stuff. Like we all try to act like everything is so different, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like what we talked about last
Big
week.
time,
Like
yeah.
if you got to put in the work and you got to learn the trade and learn the techniques, and then you'll be successful.
You know what? It's a model. If you think there's a model to every profession, most of the models run parallel, bro. They're the
Exactly.
same models.
So I always looked at it like this. In the 90s, we got to a point where it was like so many larger than life characters. You know what I mean? The Rock, even outside of wrestling. You talk about Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? You talk about Michael Jackson. Like all these people, there were just so many larger than life characters. And I feel like after that period kind of died down, like once we got to the early 2000s, it kind of became a thing where everybody was trying to kind of do this everyman thing where everybody's equal. We're all like, you know, everybody's
that's
a
what I don't
star.
like.
You know what I mean?
There's
Everybody's
too
a
many
star and
individual
all that.
stories, man.
And it's like, bro, the thing is though, and I feel like that's where it's coming back around now. And I feel like it ties into wrestling because, you know, Roman Reigns is The Rock's cousin and he's in the show as well as a little kid. And it kind of shows that tie with them. But he's one of those wrestlers that's actually like bleeding through into the mainstream that wrestlers haven't even been able to do in so long because everything was so cookie cutter for so long. You know what I mean? It was like all the wrestlers looked the same. They were all saying the same corny things. None of them was like getting on the mic and showing some swag. Like it was crazy back in the day because you look at somebody like The Rock, and The Rock was super dope. But then like people like us still resonated with Stone Cold. You know what I mean? Like, and we're not even like the type of people that's really like in the demographic when you think about it, like for somebody like Stone Cold style, but presented in the wrestling ring and just the way that he did it, bro, like it just resonated with everybody because you
and I love how
real quick, because you could kind of interpret it through your lens and still apply it. Like he was saying F the system, he was bucking the authority, and it's like you can interpret that your way and still make it make sense to you. So he breaks through no matter if he's a Texas redneck or not. Everybody was messing with him.
Yeah,
facts.
No, and that I was gonna allude to that same thing. And that's what I liked about the show because we were at home watching that on TV, right? And The Rock at that age, where was he? At home watching that on TV.
Behind the scenes of it.
And then when he saw that, he was like, wow.
Yep.
That's different.
It drew him back.
That's some other shit. And that influenced him to turn it up another level. And that's why, like all of us watching that, and someone already be on the way in there to recognize that was groundbreaking for everybody in the industry, including the fans, including the people in it. And it's just like he did something that was unparalleled at that point that no one's done before.
You know what was dope too is that it's like going back to the point that Lester made about, or I think it could have been you, Joe. One of you guys mentioned how at the end of the day, you know, there's like almost like a system or like a something in place that it crosses over to different industries. And for, you know, him, you know, something that he showed in the show was that, you know, he peeped how Deion Sanders would talk in third person and how dope that was. And then lo and behold, The Rock says, you know what I'm saying? Like he took that whole swag and was like, yo, I'm gonna make it my own. But it crossed and it worked in wrestling, you know.
And exactly going off of exactly what you're saying, he also brought the work ethic from football into the wrestling. And that was one of the things that gave him respect, even when he wasn't as good as, you know what I'm saying, he ended up being. The fact that he was a hard worker and he brought that mentality and that grind from the football field into the wrestling ring, that was also another thing that helped him. And it kind of even leads into the dynamic with him and his ex-wife, which like, man, it would be after we talk about this, like I kind of want to see if she has any like long form interviews, because I would love to just kind of hear like her point of view of like what she saw in him, like as far as like, because she obviously had to see some kind of light because he didn't have nothing going for him when they really met. You know what I mean? Like she was kind of on a path and he was kind of just bouncing around. So it's just dope. Like I know Quincy was talking about in the chat, and you might have been mentioning it too, Joe. I don't really remember, but just saying like that dynamic and how dope it is, like that she was kind of there and kind of helped him navigate those waters, and she's even still so involved now, like in his business ventures and what he does, and she's such a pivotal piece of it. And it just shows you like how important it is to have that person, the right person in your corner, and what big a difference it makes, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And the
I
fact
want
that
to.
they were, my bad, I was gonna
Go ahead,
say, and the
Quincy.
fact that they were able to go through being in a relationship, being married, divorcing, and still navigate it, it kind of shows the maturity on both sides. You know what I'm saying?
One thing I want to point out, and the whole reason we're even bringing up a show like Young Rock, and my first impression of the show was just The Rock doing another business venture, right? And then I tried an episode, didn't do it, and then Lester just kept talking about it, and then I saw random clips, and I said, I got to give this show a shot. Then I realized this show gave so many messages about our core values and what we believe in. One, and I'm gonna end it right up with his ex-wife. So one is we saw him grow up. We saw him grow up with a father. We saw him grow up with a father. It wasn't the exact father he wanted, but he still ended up following his own life choices, life decisions. We saw him meet somebody. We saw him grow with somebody and split somebody, but keep that person in life. And then the most important thing I think I took out of The Rock was when he started his gimmick, and you know, the gimmick is your story. And I think that's everything that everybody lives with. What's your gimmick? You know, like
Mhm.
what do you want people to continuously believe about you? What are you going to keep lying and sustaining for people to believe about you until it's the point where nobody just believes you anymore?
Mhm.
So he had his gimmick, and then he realized he needed to just be himself. He needed to just take it in his own hands. And you remember, he said, I just needed to be myself. Everybody told him, like, just be yourself. And then once he grasped that, and people booed him. They booed him for a long time. Remember, Rocky sucks. He thought he was done. And even the interview said, yo, I thought you lived like the perfect career. But there was a point where everybody just hated everything was doing. But like, and that's where you got to trust in yourself that, nah, I got this. I got this. I know how to get there. Being myself, being true to myself. That's the message we sent out last week. Like, you gotta trust in your process. You gotta trust in who you really want to believe in, and just trust in that power and that strength, and just keep going, and don't let anything doubt you. Because if you don't, imagine a Rock, a person like him would have just quit when people were saying Rocky sucks.
Facts.
Right.
And even to kind of tie in with what you're saying, like it's so perfectly tied into what we spoke about last week, and it also just ties in perfectly the idea that like there's so many answers to questions that we have that are just so simple. It's something that somebody tells you, and it's like, do this, do X, do Y, do Z. And usually it's a very simple answer, but we kind of have to go through the failures and the motions and the grind to really understand that question and really take in the message of it. You know, it kind of goes back to like what we was talking about with the style when we were talking about the video last week. It's one of those things that, like, for example, this quote from the Theo Vaughn and James Blake podcast. So, you know, Theo Vaughn got a podcast. He's a comedian, real big right now, and he talks to James Blake, who's a producer, you know, songwriter, artist, and it's a dope episode. But the main thing that I took away is a quote that James Blake said. He said, "The fastest way to find out if you're in the right situation is to be yourself." I feel like that's so layered and so important, and the answer to so many things is in that, but you won't really grasp it all if you haven't been in the wrong situation. You know what I mean? It's kind of that thing. I always relate it back to music, obviously, because I'm an artist, but it's kind of that thing where people always tell you they want to make music, but they always say, oh, you know, they always have a reason why they can't do it, because they always imagine it all being perfect. And it's like music is about knowing that you're going to fall on your face. You got to be willing to fall on your face. If you're not going to fall on your face, then you're not going to get to that point where you're, you know, on the pedestal.
Yeah.
Are you? Do you think you have to make wrong decisions to get there?
I don't think you have to make wrong decisions, but I think it's just part of the plan. You know what I
If
mean?
you make wrong decisions, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna come up. You're never gonna make the right decisions. Like, I always look at somebody like Jerry Seinfeld as an example. Like, he even like kind of jokes about it himself. He worked very hard, but the way his career unfolded was very fortunate. You know what I'm saying? And he had a very, I mean, everything just went right for him. But at the end of the day, it was still rooted in him working super hard and going through the grind. You know, he talks about those 4 a.m. Comedy shows that he was doing in front of nobody.
Oh.
Like, people don't see that and people don't think about that as part of the story, but that's where he built his character. That's where he built his act. That's where he created his Seinfeld persona. You know what I mean? In those late nights, in those nothing sessions. And that's kind of, I like what you said, Joe, because maybe not necessarily I'm saying you got to make wrong decisions, but you still have to get out there and do it and adjust your situation as things are going. You know what I mean? But you're never going to know until you start going. Yo,
I was never fortunate enough to never make a mistake to learn. I literally grew up in my life, and everybody who knows me knows I've learned the hard way for absolutely everything.
but you learn though, because there's people.
But I don't think it necessarily has to be that way, is what I was saying. I think you can consciously make the right decisions, you know, using resources and tools to, instead of making sporadic decisions like I did growing up. I think it's just understanding that it doesn't have to be that way for everybody.
I disagree from the aspect of you learn though. I think if you're the type of person that doesn't learn, then that's where you're messing up. Then I would agree with you. But if you're making those mistakes, but you're learning and you're growing and you're not making those same mistakes, that's just life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people are just different. So like, it's like the Jerry Seinfeld thing. Some people just have that Seinfeld life, bro, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. He's just a blessed guy. You know what I mean? You're blessed in a different way. You know, not you specifically. I mean, you are blessed in a different way, but just everybody, we're all blessed in different ways. And it's just kind of tapping into that. But you're not ever going to be able to tap into it if you don't explore and figure out what you're tapping into. You know what I mean? And even that is a thing that somebody that hasn't even tried to tap into anything, they won't understand that. And that's kind of something that Quincy was talking about, and it's been a topic that we've brought up a lot in the group chat, is some people that just don't get it, you got to kind of just let them not get it on their own. And they might think that you're a jerk. You know, they might say to somebody, oh, this guy is not helpful, or, oh, he thinks he's big time now, or whatever. And it's like, bro, it's nothing like that. I've worked with a lot of people, even recently. I've worked with a lot of people that are young in whatever they're doing, but they carry the professionalism and the hard work into it. So I'm always willing to work with those type of people. Doesn't mean that they're super polished or they're, you know, they're going to get me to the next level or something. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like, yo, you're doing your thing. You're taking it serious. To me, that means you got a chance because you got the right head on your shoulders. Let's work, you know?
Right.
Yo, to kind of put a bow on the Rock show. And also, I want to tell people that aren't even wrestling fans, the dope thing about that Rock show is it really just jumps back and forth through different parts in his life. A kid, a teen, a grown man, you know, a preteen.
And real quick, not even deep dive, but everything I felt you just talked about was his father's character and that one decision he made. You know what I'm saying? We won't keep spoiling it, but it's like it gives so many messages to every single scenario and every single decision you have to make in life, and where it could lead you, whether your intentions were the best or not.
And it shows you where all of their decisions led them, because it's jumping back and forth. It's just a dope show overall. So y'all should definitely tap in.
Very introspective, and you could relate to it, just like our show.
Facts. And it's short. That's always a bonus. It's like 20-something minute episodes.
Just like our show.
By them. Exactly. You heard me. So check it out. To put a bow on that, what's your favorite random wrestlers? Like the ones that people don't mention when they talk about their favorite wrestlers, but you just always remember enjoying them. I'm gonna go first just because I already know who I'm gonna say. One of them that's not necessarily random because a lot of people will remember, but I'll start with this, is Shane McMahon.
Oh,
Shane McMahon.
Shane O'Mac Diddy,
a fire wrestler when he wasn't even really a wrestler. Like, it's not that he was like, you know, it's not that he was Shawn Michaels or anything, but every match that he had was epic, bro.
He was risky, bro. He was willing to do whatever. He didn't care.
Yo, he was ready for whatever.
He wasn't, you could tell it's not like he did it every day, but he was willing to do whatever.
And another wrestler I really liked too was Grandmaster Sexay, dog. He was so like it was so clear to me even as a kid that this is not this guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's you know, he got a do-rag on when he comes out.
Oh yeah,
I ended up finding out he was like a country boy from Nashville. You know what I mean? He's Jerry the King Lawler's son, matter of fact.
yeah. Brian Lawler, rest in
Mhm.
peace.
Mhm.
Yeah, he passed away recently. Rest in peace. Thanks for bringing that up. But
Mhm.
he used to do the thing where he would go to the top rope and he had goggles on his head. And he would put
Yeah.
the goggles on
This is
and
on, yeah.
he would clean them like this, you know what I mean? And then he'll do a leg drop from the top rope. Yo, that thing was
Yeah.
so dope, man. Him and Scotty Too Hottie, man. They was
Scotty
killing
Too
the game.
Hottie.
Hottie too, motherfucking Hottie. The Don. Yeah. I'm glad we grew up through the same era. Quincy, you go. You got something?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, two that aren't really mentioned often. Obviously, you know, we like Sting, Goldberg, Stone Cold, The Rock, whatever. We all know that. But two that aren't mentioned often. First, RVD, Rob Van Dam.
Got you.
And then second, it's a tag team, the Dudley Boys.
Damn, I can't give you
All
those,
right.
bro. You talking about
That's
you talking about
three
like a
wrestlers.
whole bunch of legends, bro.
No, but honestly,
ain't nobody forgot about RVD, Rob
No,
Van
but
Dam.
I'm gonna
Come
give it. I
on,
have
bro.
a tag team. I have a tag team that I'm gonna present. So I'm gonna give Quincy that one because I want to. I got a tag team.
Nah, Quincy, you got to come up with one more, bro. I know you got a guilty pleasure wrestler somewhere in your head, dog.
Oh, so you ain't gonna give me all right. So if I give you one more,
Bro, I feel like
I got
the
you, I
two
got
that
you.
you mentioned, everybody would know them.
Okay, X-Pac.
Dog, suck it. Come on, the king of he's the
Come
one that
on,
introduced us all to
man.
it. Come on, man.
Dog.
Come
Like,
on.
we are, you know, old.
I know you got a D'Lo Brown in you or something, dog.
D'Lo Brown was a nut, but he was dope though. He was dope though.
Who you got, Joe?
Well, I got a backup because I know you want not a big time, but he was a big time. So I got the best tag team champions. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The G-Generation X proudly present the tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg Jesse James, the badass Billy Gunn, the New Age Outlaws. Bruh,
I ain't gonna lie.
their finishers, their entrance, the way they wrestle, the way they tag, the way they look.
That was a good one.
I loved them.
That was a good one. Everybody knows DX, but when you say New Age Outlaws and Billy Gunn and Road Dogg specifically, people don't necessarily remember.
Nah, bro, the Road Dogg Jesse James and the badass Billy Gunn. What was it? The showstopper where they're bending their head over and he puts them between his legs and it just chops it on the ground, bro. Like that was my favorite move.
That was fire.
Whenever I had my creator wrestler, that was my finisher. But if we're talking, you know, not in there, Tatanka was
Tatanka. Wow.
When he did that, and they started smacking him in the back of the head, and he was like, probably super racist today if he wasn't Native American.
You think about it, right?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna consider that. But
I mean, that was all wrestling back in the day, though. When you think about it now, it's like, bro, that was just everybody was a stereotype. That's every single character.
That's big time, yeah. But yeah, Tatanka and then Rowdy Piper. He was one of my
that's my favorite all time, bro.
Yeah,
he's like one of the ones that really like drew me into wrestling, like as a kid. It's just because he had the kilt. I'm like, what the heck? This guy got a kilt on? Like, you know, I didn't even know what it was. I thought he was wearing a skirt or something.
Yeah.
But then
and that's excluding the big names. Because if we go on big names, we got The Rock, we got Stone Cold, we got Taker, we got Shawn Michaels. Heartbreak Kid's my number one all time.
Yeah, I was at the Amway when Brock Lesnar and Big Show broke the ring, bro.
Yeah, me too. We
for real?
talking about that. Yeah.
We talked about it on like one of the earlier episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Damn.
That was epic, bro. That was epic.
Yeah, that was dope. Wrestling's one of those things, like kind of like you were saying, Quincy, like you kind of lose touch, and then I tried to go to a show with my wife, and it's just like it was weird, bro. Like we were kind of looking around, and we were like, I don't know, I don't think we're coming back to this, and we haven't gone back since. Maybe now it's a little different because that was a while ago. That was probably a good like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it went through a rough patch for sure. It definitely went through a rough patch. Like you mentioned earlier, with like Roman Reigns and some of the people that are coming out now, it's probably better. I don't know, honestly, but I do plan on tapping into WrestleMania and then checking that following Raw out just to see how where things are. Because, like I said, this show definitely kind of brought back some really good childhood memories about wrestling. Like, people don't talk about like how much they liked wrestling that much no more. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But like
facts.
I
Mhm.
thoroughly enjoyed wrestling as a kid. Like I used to be on the trampoline with my cousin, got him in a figure 4 leg lock, bro, about to break
Yep.
his ankle, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like
Facts.
Backyard, bro, doing tombstone pile drivers,
facts,
DDTs. Oh
facts.
man, I remember that.
Yeah, we've talked about it before too, just like how wrestling is just so dope from the point of view of there's no faking it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's funny that it's really like, scripted fighting or whatever, but it's just such a grind. Like if you don't know like what wrestling really is, like do like
yeah.
a quick little deep dive into it and you'll see, bro, that thing is crazy. Like even if like the Ric Flair doc, I'm gonna tap into that.
Hmm.
That's like a real good representation of how hard it is, to be in the wrestling business, man. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of
and I
like
want to,
skateboarding, man.
and no, I want to do a little transition, if you guys don't mind,
Let's get
into the
it.
danger of all sports in general.
Mm.
And we witnessed. Shout out to Damar Hamlin and the incident that happened. Everybody's wishing him the best. Uh, and that situation we witnessed. And we'll just keep it broad. We witnessed in other sports. I've witnessed it with wrestling, and I think you
Hmm.
guys know,
Hmm.
Owen
Blue
Hart
Blazer.
situation.
Yeah,
Yep.
rest in peace, Owen
Oh
Hart.
yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like I see stupid ass comments, and I call them stupid ass comments on social media about people saying like, "Oh, they knew the." No, it's not about that. No one ever goes out there wishing they're gonna get hurt to that
Yeah.
extremity. You know,
Right.
no one ever wishes that, says something's gonna happen to me that's gonna change the whole game and stop it. And that's what everybody says. That who cares? It doesn't matter how dangerous a sport is. You do it because you have a love for it, and there's because there's not a lot of people in this world who would do it and who can do it for the amount of money. So I think the insensitivity is thinking that everybody goes out there knowing they're going to get that hurt, and that's something we never want to see in
Hmm.
all sports.
Yeah, man.
And I don't want to get too dark, I don't want to get too deep, but I just think about, I just brought back the wrestling memories and the bad things I've seen, how we've seen bad things in all sports. And I think we need to account for all of that, not just football. And I think everybody
Yeah,
needs to understand that.
definitely. And even going off of what you're saying, um, I'm real big on tailoring your experience in life. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that, like just from listening to the show. So I'm the type of person that like I use Twitter, but I don't really post or anything. I just kind of follow people that I enjoy, that I think say dope things, and just kind of tap in that way. And that whole situation, man, made me just deactivate my Twitter and uninstall the app from my phone, because it's like that kind of thinking and the insensitivity and people's just overall assholeness, it just really just turned me off, because it's like, man, like it just bleeds into everything now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Everybody's so desensitized and everything is so self-centered, and people find it so hard to just kind of go outside of themselves for a second and really just consider things from another lens, that it just really just overall it makes a lot of things a drag, to be honest. Like you said, Joe, it's like not even to bring the mood down, but that's just really what it is, and it's really what's going on. We
Hmm.
had that I don't know if anybody that's listening follows sports like that, but Skip Bayless said something on Twitter about the situation that came off as insensitive to a lot of people, and people were kind of like in an uproar because of it. And it's just something that when I look at it, I'm like, this guy is at a point now where pretty much everything that he's doing is just to have a sensational response to it.
Hmm.
I feel like at the point where he's at, he's probably not tapped in with as many people as he was when he was younger, his career. He's not really getting scoops like that. He's kind of reverting to like what I look at as like an old school way of being, as far as like a television personality. And it's really just like, I'm a big fan of Shannon Sharp, but it's just I don't even tap in with Shannon Sharp because of that. You know what I mean? Because it's bringing that whole vibe down. You know what I mean? Like I can't even justify watching for Shannon, because this guy's on the other side just being a buffoon most of the
Hmm.
time. You know what I mean? And it's just super sad, like just to see how far this like Twitter kind of troll mentality and vibe has just creeped into everything, bro.
It's crazy that this became one of Mike Tyson's biggest quotes, but it's such a real thing, man. Mike Tyson said social media made you all way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it. And I feel like that's really what it is, bro. I feel like the insensitivity, all of that now is just, it's to a point where, people will pick up their phone, tweet something, and go on with their lives and knowing there's no real consequences to it. You know what I'm saying? And it's out of control, bro. It's out of control.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I always thought me, not even me having like an opinion as far as like politically or for safety or anything like that, just me as a kid, whenever I first started, making MySpace, whatever, any of that stuff, I always kind of figured in my head that you had to show proof of who you were, like when you created those kind of things. But as we go on and kind of look back at how people have been able to just create so many accounts on different things, not even say that it's them. You make a troll account, you make a fan account, you make an opinion account, and then you're really just saying things just to say them because you're in a quote unquote safe space where you can just say whatever you want to say. Like, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I don't really agree with that idea where everybody could just say whatever they want and do whatever they want to do, and we're all free to do everything. It's like, I mean, you could try it. You could try to come over here and try that, but it ain't gonna go like how it goes on Twitter. I'll tell you that much.
Facts.
You know what I mean? It's like there's like a false world. I mean, we be getting into that forever, but that whole false world that's being created online is like, it's just something you can never get down with. Like, as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? Like, even like how that algorithm works, like, a lot of people don't even know that, like, when they post things, if it isn't appealing to what the site is or what the site is about, a lot of times they'll kind of bury your stuff. You know what I mean? Unless you pay for it or unless you're specifically posting the trendy things that they want to be posted. You know what I mean? So sometimes even people feel like, oh, nobody messes with me. Every time I post something, they don't even look at it. But like, bro, they're not even getting it. You know what I'm saying? It's not even coming across their phone. They're not even seeing their friends on their phone because your phone is tailored to just show you whatever's going to sell, whatever's going to keep you in the loop with the trends, all that stuff. So it's just a real, like, kind of dangerous area that we're living in, and just the whole like mob mentality of it, even like where Kyrie Irving says something and everybody kind of just attacked him, and just regardless of how you feel about what he said, it's just the idea that like whoever the mob decides they're gonna just destroy, it just like, it's like how that decision gets made, I have no clue, but it's just like they pick and choose. You see,
like Quincy said, it was over a tweet.
Yep,
it was over a tweet, and then it's ironic because it's like the mob picks and chooses, and then all of a sudden, he has to do this long list of things to get his job back. Nike drops him, and going back to the Skip thing, it's like the mob did attack Skip. If you look at Twitter right now, Skip is getting flamed.
My bad for cutting you off, but the thing that really pissed me off about that situation is he did that whole little apology on the show on Tuesday after the situation in the game. So Shannon Sharpe no-showed the show, and then the next day he said, "I'm not going to speculate on why I didn't show up yesterday, but I didn't like what Skip said. I didn't like the tweet. I wish you would take it down." But you could tell he was just kind of just saying his piece and getting past it. And Skip felt the need to interrupt him and say, "I stand by the tweet and I'm not taking it down." Like,
and he said nobody in the studio had a problem. Go ahead.
Exactly. And basically, oh, nobody told me to apologize. Nobody had an issue, whatever, this and that. And it's like, bro, exactly what Quincy was just saying. If you're gonna hold this man Kyrie to this crazy level and standard for one tweet that was coming from an ignorant, if you felt like it was coming from an ignorant place, it's the same thing as the Skip Bayless tweet. Same exact thing. It's the same thing. But for whatever reason, whatever certain connotations are, however it fits into the algorithm, whatever the case is, one person gets destroyed, the other person doesn't. You know what I mean? One person's really just like disregarding a whole person that's about to die, and the other person is just kind of speculating on a documentary. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you choose which one is more harmful? And that's why even living in that online space, it's like you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and it always comes back around for everybody. Like especially all those people that live in that world. And it ties right back into what we were talking about at the beginning with the wrestling and having your quote unquote gimmick. It's like your gimmick is basically like the things that you stand on, that when people think of you, you want them to think about these things like immediately, because that's what you're about. You know what I mean? And people got to realize those things that I'm going to stand on are these things that I'm going to be able to stand on for the rest of my life. Because if that's not the answer, then you need to adjust. And these people that don't analyze situations like that, they end up being those, rise and fall, fast burn type of people, because, riding the wave is a fickle thing. You know what I mean?
Goes right back to the James Blake quote. The fastest way to find out if you're in the right situation is to be yourself, whether it's on social media, whether it's in real life. You know what I mean? That's the fastest way.
Facts. Yeah, man. Super dope. I'm excited about tapping into that Ric Flair documentary and talking about it, because from what I understand, it has a lot of layers too, and it kind of goes back to the Young Rock thing of showing all the different points, what led him to where he was. And it's super dope because Ric Flair is one of those wrestlers that, crossed over. People know who Ric Flair is, even if you don't know wrestling. He's the wrestler guy, the woo. So we're definitely gonna tap into that. We got some more dope guests lined up. If y'all got anything else y'all want to say, go ahead and say it or hold your peace, because we about to slide.
Hey man, reminder, yo, tap in. We got the new Down For Me video dropping tomorrow, December 5th. So if you hear this next week and you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and go on YouTube and tap into that Down For Me.
Yep, just tap in, just Google it. You can check our bios. We're gonna have it. You can just go on YouTube and put Quincy Jamal Lester Sanchez. It'll pop right up. We got a lot of dope collaborations on the way. We've been working. We're gonna continue to work, and I'm just excited for everybody to see that work. What's up, Joe?
I love it, man. I love what these guys are doing. Like I said, they're keeping me motivated. All these releases that they're putting out is going to be in the future grounded mixes that I'm putting out with my new set. You know what I'm saying? I'm laying it out now. No, but one of the videos we posted on the gram today was explaining the type of people we want to have on here, and I'm getting a lot of reactions. And we want to know people who are genuinely, down to earth, on their way to make life-changing decisions that's going to benefit them and benefit everyone around them, and just mentally, spiritually, healthy, physically, everything. That's what we grow upon. That's why we have these conversations. That's why we analyze random shows like The Rock. That's why we analyze random music records. That's why we analyze everything. And I want to shout out to Lester. I think he's our head guy who brings us down to the analyzation kind of level, because we all need this. Everybody needs to get past that surface level and just really dig deep into why we do the things we do. One of the first things I ever said on this episode I ever been on, stay grounded. We see more. Y'all later.
Facts. And remember, we might take you down a different road, but we always going to take you to the right destination. You heard me? If I wouldn't have stuttered at the end, it would have sounded way cooler. Stay butter.